My father was Harry Brenton, who was hired in 1959 after a nationwide search to come to Jacksonville to head up the Jacksonville Public Library system. So I heard about libraries at the dinner table. I heard about libraries during the run-up to consolidation and after consolidation. My late mother, who passed away in the 60s, was a librarian too. They met in library school. A lot of history with libraries. I do remember the Myrtle Avenue Library being discussed in the 1960s, the expansion of the library system in neighborhoods, both in the urban core and elsewhere as the 60s rolled on after consolidation. Libraries were very important.
This library to me was always, when it was built in 1965, was the prototype of what became regional libraries, what became the Regency Library and the Webb West Gannett Library, because the way this branch was designed was meant for a different kind of usage, with the meeting room that had accessibility to the outside, and just the general overall appearance. The courtyard was unique. Harry Brenton, who was the director, had quite a bit of foresight and wanted this neighborhood to have a really different, very modern library for the time.
We were very happy when they opened the Dallas Graham Branch Library here in 1965. Originally, the name was Myrtle Avenue Branch, but because Reverend Dallas Graham was so active in the community and he had done so many things, a group of his members and others who had worked with him petitioned to have the name changed in his honor at that time. And therefore, the name became Dallas Graham Branch Library, because one of the things that Reverend Graham had done was that he made sure that African Americans were able to vote in the Democratic primary. At that time, African Americans could not belong to the Democratic Party. It was like a social club, and you had to be invited by a member, and naturally they didn't know anyone to invite them. But he went to court along with some others, and they won the right to become members of the Democratic Party. Thus they could vote in primaries. So that is part of the history behind this branch library. And we were very happy and pleased to have this type of facility in our neighborhood. And many people came, young children, parents brought their young children, and there were people here to read stories to them, and they had a nice collection of children's books. Many of them talked about some of the historic people like James Weldon Johnson and his brother John Roseman Johnson, A. Philip Randolph, Miss Eartha M.M. White and her mother Clara White, and other outstanding people in the community. And therefore children were thrilled to come here, and even adults, because there was a large collection of adult reading materials here.
My parents are avid readers, therefore the 6 of us had to be readers. My first library card was issued at the Wilder Park branch, way back. Then we transferred here with Mrs. Olga Bradham and Mrs. Brooks as the librarians at the library here on Myrtle Avenue. This was a hub for our community.
Well, actually, when this library was built, I was bringing my children, and they had their library cards, and I would bring them every week to check out their books. They usually read one while they were here, and then take maybe 3 home to read. And then trying to find them to bring them back on time was a problem, because they take them to school, and I've had to pay for a few books that just didn't get back. But they enjoyed coming. The librarians were just outstanding. They were people persons, and they knew how to deal with children and their parents. So it was always an enjoyable outing for us to come to the library.
It was at a time when at Stanton High School, which was right down the street, our socialization was forming different clubs and organizations. And, you know, we did a lot of things in the community. But when we got prepared to have our pictures taken for the yearbook, what better place to choose than the newly opened library? Because it also was the place where my particular club had its meetings on Saturday or perhaps on a Sunday. So it was just a hub, that's a good word to use, for this community.
It was just a great boon to the parents and the children of the neighborhood to have a library in their neighborhood. And when I came to St. Pius and teaching first grade, I would bring the children down to the library, take field trips 2 or 3 times a year. The children loved the trips to the library.
Just about everything that I needed to know about coming into more of learning about myself, the material seemed to be here at Dallas Graham a little bit more than other libraries, and so for me that was something special.
Majority of people around here don't even have computers, so the library is like an important place to come do their homework, just to even interact with other societies and stuff like that. And books especially, children really don't read at home. I know I do, but you know, some parents don't really force the children to read. So when they come here, they have all this information around them that makes them want to read and expand their education. So that's good too.
Well, many of the families did not have encyclopedias, they didn't have reference books, so the library was really a haven for the children in the neighborhood. It was a place for them to go that was safe. It was, and the children from 1st to 8th grade would come down after school, and many of them would use the library. Their parents would pick them up from the library. We didn't have after-school care at the time, so it was a wonderful place and a safe place for the children to be.
What this community has and why they need it is because the information in here, and also obviously what we do with the computers, that allows for us to interact with the world. And so while we are here in this community, and we're kind of in a small community, it allows us to have access to the bigger community. And so that's why this library is important. And I'm just a big advocate of maximizing your time and the resources that are here in the library.
Our elected officials, you know, the city administration as well as the library administration needs to be fully aware of how we love this library, how we love the library system. And we wish to see this library preserved and hopefully expanded, because the community is coming back. We hope to see it revitalized, and like I've always felt, it is extremely important to the culture and the civilization of any community.
But I would say for the literary sustentation of people in this community, the library is absolutely the hub. In the 21st century, not only for reading, but for computer resources, not only for economic reasons, but obviously for the basic literary reasons that a library is a hub of a community. We start here and go anywhere. It happens in the library.